Hello everybody, my name is Noah Miller, and today we're going to be talking about the project from ex-Black Midi frontman slash guitarist Geordie Greep and the producer Seth Evans that was released just this fall.
The album is called The New Sound. I just forgot to mention that because I'm an idiot.
Greep has delivered to us a very cohesive album front to back. Very memorable tracks overall, superb musicianship ranging from noise, Latin, math rock to even theatrical string orchestrations. There's witty and funny lyrics with a healthy dose of perversion from the characters that Mr. Greep sings about. Now, Blues is the second single that dropped the day before the release and features the classic combo of noise and math rock that we're used to hearing from Geordie, combined with his chaotic, sporadic delivery of the lyrics, which dive into the life of a character who lives a successful life. The way in which he leads that life leads his body to basically reject him. Now, Terra is the first real big taste of the Latin influence on this album with the musicians that he worked with. As far as the personnel on this album, of which you should be seeing a list, and the production process, from what I could find, it seems like he worked with a lot of these guys out in Brazil over the course of a couple days, and then took the recordings back to the UK and then touched them up with producer Seth Evans. The song follows the museum director for the Museum of Human Suffering, and he claims to have the corpse of Jesus on display, along with dead fetuses and a bunch of other atrocious things that happen to people. The director is himself an exhibit too, and he has a heart that is degrading over time due to some sickness that seems to have been put on him by some kind of witch. He can also remove his heart, and he invites people to touch it and feel the disease. The director eventually succumbs to this sickness and asks to be made into a flute with his bones. Now, in between this wild narrative, we have a delightfully pleasant Latin tropical groove with nylon string guitars, horn sections, pianos, congas, tons of other percussion filling it out, and they're pulling off these hits and these figures that perfectly complement Greep's impassioned melody and delivery with the lyrics. There's also some vocal harmonies on the back end of the track that have this super crisp and this like breathy, airy quality to them, and they blend really well together. And that's really all I have to say about Terra. It's a great track and I love it. Now, of course, we're on to the landmark single from our Greepy Crawly, Holy Holy. Now, this was the track that Greep seemed to have been teeing himself up to drop with the sudden dissolution of the UK-based noise, grout, jazz rock outfit Black Midi. Compared to some of the later Black Midi material, this track is a lot more vibrant, and it feels like it would have been out of place if it were on a traditional Black Midi record. Honestly, like a lot of the songs on this album, it's just there's a whole different realm of color that he's playing with. It still features some of the tense moments where he pushes the listeners to the point where it almost feels like he's daring them to sit through the noise that he's making, even from the opening of the track. The narrative follows a seemingly suave seductor as he totally rizzes up this girl with the sauce, when just after the midpoint of the track, which the vocals singing the bass line made me realize this was kind of a faster version of Let's Groove Tonight by Earth, Wind & Fire. Bow, the boogie down, bow, 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 the boogie down. It ends up pulling a Tarantino on us narratively. It details the conversation that Greep's character has with the woman that he seduces to reveal that he paid for her to do all of that, and to not worry, we won't do anything in the bathroom. Overall, it's an incredibly fun track, and it's a very fun narrative. On to the title track of The New Sound. It's an instrumental burst of all the different kind of sounds that Greep is playing with on this album. There's a lot of Latin, a lot of jazz, a lot of funk, a lot of math rock too. It's a fun show of virtuosity from everyone involved, and it just sounds like they're having fun on this record. That's kind of the main thing that I'm going to kind of point at for this whole album. It's fun. Now we're on to Walk Up. This is some more fuzzy, noisy kind of atmospheric rock. The lyrics describe an executive character that doesn't seem to have earned his way to the position and has no game except for what he pays for with the ladies. Geordie tends to write a lot of songs about pathetic people who seem to run from their problems or otherwise not face them head on. There's a skit at the end of people seemingly at a bar where this song is playing, and the patrons are just not into it. It's followed up by another short ditty sang by the bartender, played by Seth Evans, essentially saying, "I'm here, I got nobody and nowhere else to go.
And yeah, I am miserable."
Through a war. Narratively, this song talks about a dictator character who falls in love with a woman. He describes his adventures and conquerings to this woman, and it could possibly be connected to the character of Tristan Bongo of the song Welcome to Hell by Black Midi on their last album. Perhaps after he was discharged, he went on these trips, but he could also be lying about all of them and playing the part of the general that he never actually was. There is a bit of a theme of people setting themselves up for success through dishonest means throughout this album. Instrumentally, it's another fun Latin-based track with a bit of accordion even thrown in there. There's even some synthesizers doubling a horn line here and there, adding a bit more dimension and detail. Bongo Season, the next track, is a short and sweet, fast Latin groove. The few lyrics that there are describe two mice who seem to have disemboweled themselves through the traditional Japanese means of seppuku. He uses harakiri to add a bit of distance to it and maybe skew it a little more, but that's essentially what's happening. Motorbike. This song is fronted by co-producer of the album Seth Evans. It's almost like an edgier version of Bicycle Race from Queen, featuring a narrative about someone who just wants to ride their new motorcycle. They're running away from life, trying to impress people, and they're kind of having a midlife crisis. It almost reminds me of a pop song with the chord progressions and the melodic motifs, until the incredibly frantic drums and the rest of the instrumentation come into play. The back end of the track gets a little long in the tooth with the noise, and it's kind of one of those dares that Greep gives us, like I mentioned earlier, and it's one that I can't fully take him up on. I kind of have to skip the part of the track there, but overall it's still a very good track and a lot of fun. Now on to As If Waltz. Very dynamic, groovy A section, and a true honest-to-God waltz for a B section. Again, our narrator's paying for sex, and paying to be cuckolded, and paying to be everything that this girl needs, but only an hour at a time. Although he seems to be capable of very passionate acts within that hour outside of coitus. Very fun fusion of jazz, funk, Latin flavors thrown in, of course, and the slower string waltz, kind of alluding to the sort of theatrical string orchestrations like I mentioned. Now on to The Magician. I never got a chance to see Black Midi when they were together, as of recording. And from my understanding, this is the song that they would commonly close a lot of their shows with towards the end of their run. Now, I'm very glad this track doesn't just live as various live recordings of varying quality. It is a beast at nearly 12 and a half minutes, but I tend to like longer songs just out the gate. There's some nice chords in the beginning motif. The middle section is quite long, but it's built up very nicely. It's another very impassioned vocal performance from Geordie, using his sometimes deranged delivery to seemingly get everything off of his chest. It just feels like he's saying sorry and talking about all these grudges with the person that he's in a relationship with in this song, and he says that they're aimless as well as he is. It seems like both characters are sleepwalking through life. And with that, this could be the character Geordie's been talking about throughout this entire album. And we finally get a song with some reflection on all the terrible things that this character has done. It's a very sweet, very gentle, but still hard-hitting kind of semi-closer for this album. And then on to the actual closer for this album, If You Are But a Dream. If You Are But a Dream, the closer, it's the quintessential theatrical string orchestration on this album. It's reminiscent of a Frank Sinatra ballad, and it's simply just a beautiful note to close on. And once again, it gives us an idea of the kind of range that Geordie can perform in, and it's just very inspiring to hear all of these things on the same album, from the same person. In conclusion, for being a year older than me, it's really inspiring to see what people in my generation and my age bracket are creating, and that earnest creation does in fact beget you an album that you can call your own, and you will develop a following based on what you genuinely like to create. Front to back, this thing is funny, creative, zany, diverse, noisy, and on top of it all, wholly and originally unique. A scarce few moments are ones that don't entirely land for me, but everything about this album makes me excited to see what Geordie, Cameron, Morgan, and hopefully Matt get up to making in the future. I'm not usually one to look into an artist's solo work after their band sort of dissolves, but these guys have always piqued my interest, and I'm honestly just really excited to see what comes next from these guys. thank you everybody so much for watching this video. If you like my reviews, I have a couple more. If you want to see anything else, just let me know if you want to see anything else. I've got a couple ideas of some videos that I might want to do. Life just hasn't really given me the best opportunity to really make them at this time. So you're lucky that you got this one. No, I'm not trying to be mean. Yeah, no, it's really kind of been an issue with struggling to get my schedule set up. And honestly, I kind of would like my own space to just record videos and stuff, because right now I'm still living with my folks. I'm about 25. I'm working on saving up some money to get out. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much just kind of my situation, and hopefully you like the videos that I make from time to time, and if you want to see more, you can subscribe, and we'll see what happens. Let's just leave it at that. Let's see what happens. So yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one whenever it comes out, so see you then.